fiction. You know, Christian writers are often posed with the questions like, why are you writing fiction when you could be writing nonfiction? Or if you feel writing is a ministry, then why are you putting your time and effort into fiction? Ouch. Or a real Christian would be writing something with real sustenance. I'm not even so sure I can say the word, not fiction. You know, I used to swallow my displeasure and compose a gracious response that sounded like I was playing defense for a losing team. But I deleted those responses from my memory bank years ago. I'm proud of what I do, and I am not ashamed of my purpose for writing fiction. After years of following my passion for communicating the written word through story, I simply term the individual questioning my purpose as maybe they just are a low information reader. So I want to do two things today. I want to address why fiction for the writer and why fiction for the writer who doesn't really understand the goal and the purpose of fiction. And you know what? Those people mean well. Isn't nonfiction the means by which people learn how to live life to its fullest and better themselves? Actually, the answer is yes, and the answer is no. Each has its purpose. Nonfiction is an outstanding way of teaching, encouraging, and providing information. It's enlightening. Nonfiction is based on real facts, people, events, history, and the many, many sciences. I commend nonfiction writers for what they do and how they present their material. And I must say, I have a love affair with words that comes from a calling to follow God, to follow Jesus. And you know, he invited me and many of us to be storytellers. So, in thinking about that, what does that mean and what does that say about fiction? So, I'm going to give you my personal point of view, and I hope that you are able to form solid opinions once I've concluded. So, to me, words are a jumbled mess unless they are crafted to form characters who survive their world and teach us how they survived, how they changed, and how they grew into better people. A story is a vibrant explosion of imagination with a divine purpose. And I don't know how that came to me, but I kind of like it. I might have to make a meme out of it. So, to further engage my personal opinion about why fiction is so important, I want to give you a few scenarios. So here's number one. How many abused women purchased or purchase nonfiction about how to prevent a beating or mental abuse? Do these women reach for information on a retailer shelf about an abused victim's legal rights, or how to obtain counseling, or how to find courage in the midst of pain? Here is scenario number two. How many victims of human trafficking find freedom by asking their captor to buy them a nonfiction book about overcoming trust issues or how to escape an inappropriate relationship. Or number three, how many addictions were resolved by forcing the sufferer to read a book about drug abuse? Here's another one. How many marriages have been saved because a woman shoved a counseling book into her husband's face? Or how many relationships survived because a man insisted his wife read books about how to cook, how to clean, how to raise kids, how to be a proper wife, how to submit? And the truth of the matter is that probably none of those scenarios work. They may work after a person has made a decision and reached forward in getting healing and growing and becoming a better person, but probably not during the actual experience. So I think you get the picture. We want victims and people who are searching for answers to find peace and to escape situations, to escape them in a healthy manner, or to find courage. And many times when these people are in the midst of these situations, they're either too frightened to be found reading it, don't know how to find the reading material, or they just simply believe that I'm stuck here in this situation, so there's no point in reading about it. But here is a solution, friends. If a victim could read a novel about abuse, about human trafficking, an addiction, a failing marriage, or relationships, either with parents, with others, with our children, that if they read that, they could somehow find hope and they could be inspired to make needed changes. A novel is a non-threatening environment that offers sound solutions to real problems. The abuser, the captor, the addicted person, or the unfaithful spouse will not feel exposed when their victims engage in a fiction article or a novel. In that way, the fiction writer plants seeds of change and subtly challenges the reader to grow beyond his or her own world. And many of you have heard me say, I write fiction to entertain, to inspire, and encourage. We all have family and friends and neighbors who aren't interested in the things of God. They may even be a little hostile, hostile to a relationship, hostile to us. They refuse to attend a church or a small group or a dinner, uh, read a Bible. They possibly won't even visit us because we might pray or say the Jesus word. But, dear friends, we can give them a novel in which one or more characters solve their problems from a Christian worldview, and they begin to get it. They begin to understand. They begin to see what being a Christian is all about. That makes us fiction writers farmers too. If the suggestion of using story to change dire circumstances sounds familiar, then you've been reading your Bible, because Jesus used stories to convict, to teach and comfort the people to whom he ministered, those whom he loved. He orchestrated a means of entertainment through culture to reach the people of his day. And story still meets a psychological or a spiritual need in 2020 and in the years to come. I believe story will be a means of helping people until this earth ceases to spin. I challenge the fiction writer to explore the passions of theme and premise. Don't be afraid to tackle the tough issues with grace and truth within the pages of an excellent story. We don't have to hit people over the head with a Bible. We need to simply offer that non-threatening environment of story. If you are asked to, why do you write fiction? Here are my top 5 responses. Maybe one will be your answer, or maybe you have an answer of your own that you can list in the comments so all of us will be blessed. Understand that my 5 responses are in the handout that's been posted. So number 1, Jesus spoke in parables. Is there a better role model for writers than Jesus? On your handout is a website that offers all of Jesus' parables. And I encourage you to read through those. I always learn something when I open my Bible. Number 2, remember fiction is a non-threatening environment that can address personal, social, physical, mental, and spiritual issues. Number 3, fiction entertains. It keeps the reader's mind off needless concerns that can rob a reader of joy. In other words, we're told worrying is a sin, so let's replace it with something else that provides joy. Number 4, storytelling has been used since the beginning of time to teach, to entertain, and keep history alive through characters who resemble real people. And number 5, fiction is a calling. It's a purpose for a writer to use God-given talent to give him glory. So I hope that you can see the value of nonfiction and you can see the value of fiction. Some of us are called to write nonfiction, and some of us are called to write fiction, and some of us are called to write both. But I don't want you to ever undermine or think that one is more important than the other, because fiction and nonfiction has a purpose. So I ask you about fiction. If you're writing fiction, what's your reasoning? And I hope you share it with us, because I am looking forward to reading your comments and seeing what you have to say.